Good morning, Long Beach. How you guys doing this morning? Are you ready for another day of empowerment with some of the nation's leading female thought leaders? I know this is a room full of successful women. By a show of hands, how many CEOs are in the room today? All right. How about business owners? Raise your hands. How many powerful women are here this morning? All hands should be up. Give yourselves a big round of applause, all of you powerful women. Ladies, we have so much to celebrate today. Did you know that women own 10 million businesses? Businesses that are responsible for $1.4 trillion in revenue. $1 trillion in revenue. And there are more female CEOs of Fortune 500 companies today than ever before in the history of this country. I think that's something to celebrate. We are on the move, ladies. But we can all remember that not so long ago, things were different in this country. It was very much a man's world. I got a vivid reminder of that a couple of months ago when I went to see the Oscar-nominated movie Hidden Figures. Now, if you haven't seen that movie, Hidden Figures tells the story of 3 African-American women who played crucial roles in the success of NASA's space program during the Jim Crow laws in the segregated South. And although this movie is really a civil rights drama, it's also a powerful movie about resilience and triumph. See, this movie is about reaching your goals in the face of adversity. Now, I know I just asked all of you women to tell us how successful you were, but I'm betting that on your journey to success, many of you experienced some adversity. Does anybody here today know anything about adversity? I know I do. See, I grew up poor, very poor. My family lived in a housing project in North St. Louis. And North St. Louis was that part of town that was known for high crime rates. It was the part of town where there were large stretches of undeveloped land, failing schools, and extreme government neglect. Kids like me weren't supposed to get out of those neighborhoods. But I was really lucky. I had these 2 amazing women in my life, my grandmother and my godmother. My godmother, Ethel, worked as a janitor. She cleaned houses in the day. She cleaned offices at night in the suburbs of St. Louis. And I would go with her, and I watched her clean these offices with such pride and humility. And I learned my work ethic from my godmother. And then there was my grandmother, Davan. And Davan was this amazing woman. She was the victim of domestic violence even before we had a name for it. And in this tiny little apartment in the projects, she had all of these books, and she loved to read. And she would use the books and these stories to help her escape the confines of this tiny little apartment. And she taught me to love to read. And see, these 2 amazing women, they taught me that little girls with dreams can grow up to be women with vision. And working hard with my godmother as a janitor, I did well enough in high school to win a scholarship to the University of Chicago. And I was so excited. Here was this little girl from the projects going to this prestigious university. But that excitement turned into embarrassment. When I stepped foot on that campus, I met this upperclassman named Angela. Angela was this very sophisticated lady from Long Island, but she was evil. Everybody probably knows someone like Angela. She mocked me. She belittled me. She tore me down. She made fun of the way I talked. She embarrassed me so much that I literally stopped talking for an entire semester. See, I had to go to work. I had to check out books from the public library. I had to listen to tapes. I had to remake entirely the way I spoke. This was really, really a challenging time for me in college. In addition to remaking my entire speech, I put Angela to work. I turned her into an unlikely ally. I started giving her my term papers. I said, if you're so disgusted by the way I speak, you help me. And she started marking up my papers, and I made her sit with me for hours and tutor me. And over time, my writing started to improve. I started feeling more confident. And after a while, I was a spokesperson for organizations on campus. My grades started to soar. I graduated magna cum laude. I got accepted to Harvard Law School. So when you get to Harvard, a lot of great things start to happen for you. I had the honor and privilege of going to law school and being amongst some pretty badass women. And I'm talking Michelle Obama and Michigan's Mayor Jennifer Granholm. Now, after law school, when you go to Harvard, you get a lot of job offers. So I accepted this job at this Wall Street firm in Los Angeles. And I was paid more in this job in a couple of months than most people make in a lifetime. I thought I had made it. But, you know, I guess the Midwesterner in me never leaves you. So I reacted very differently than my classmates who were graduating from law school. They were moving to Santa Monica, the Marina, Beverly Hills. They were buying expensive and fancy sports cars, cars I had never seen growing up in St. Louis. And I moved downtown, this tiny little apartment, $450 a month, bought my first car ever. It wasn't fancy and barely foreign. It was a 10-year-old Jetta. My car note was $100 a month. But I was so proud of myself. You see, I never stopped being the girl I was. I was the girl from North St. Louis. I was the girl who always asked the tough questions. How come some people have so much when others have so little? How come some people can afford $800 an hour for an attorney while others couldn't afford even basic legal services? I was conflicted. And it didn't take me long to leave that law firm. I went from that 35th floor, spectacular high rise to a small office that I was subletting on Mid-Wilshire over the Red Onion restaurant. Now, my friends, my classmates, my colleagues, my family, everybody thought I was crazy. Why are you leaving that amazing job? But I knew that being true to what I believe then and now is the only option. And as it turns out, this was the beginning of everything for me. I was building my own law firm. I was representing people of limited means, but people who really needed me. I was happy. I got married. I had kids. And then the unexpected happened. My third child, Marty, was born. And subsequent to that, Marty was diagnosed with autism. And like a lot of moms, I was devastated by his diagnosis. And it was a game changer for me and my family. See, I had to go on this journey to find the best in medical, educational, and other care for Marty. I had to make sure my son had every opportunity to live the best life possible. And that was the impetus for me starting my nonprofit, the Special Needs Network. It was also very much a start of a new career for me. That brings me back to the movie Hidden Figures. See, in the movie, all three characters, they start off with a very specific job, but they're able to shift gears when opportunity comes their way. See, these women were fearless in the pursuit of what set their souls on fire. And for me, I was starting a new career. See, one of the characters in Hidden Figures, she becomes a computer programmer. One becomes a NASA engineer. And the main character does her job so well, and she works so hard, that she's asked to calculate the flight path of John Glenn's historic orbit around Earth. See, these women, they heeded the call to become game changers. And I know that each and every one of you can do the same thing. See, sooner or later, most of us are going to be confronted with some kind of phenomenal opportunity. And the question is, will you be ready and will you have the courage to go for it? Now, in my own life, I was representing some families of kids who had autism. These kids had been abused in their classroom, and the case had gotten a lot of national attention. So guess what happened? I got a call from Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil called Areva, and he said, Areva, I want you to bring those clients onto the show because I want to show the world what happens to kids in classrooms. I want to talk about autism and advocacy. So we went on to the show, and my clients did a phenomenal job. They were so articulate, and they were so passionate about the need to care for kids with special needs. And the segment went so well. After we shot the segment, I told the producers, I loved shooting this segment. I loved being on television and having an opportunity to talk to so many people about autism and advocacy. I said, when can I come back? And it just so happened that they were shooting another show, and they invited me to stay, and I did. And working from that one show, that started my career in television. And from there, I went on to work on CNN and HLN and ABC, and to be a TV host on The Doctors, as some of my friends out in the audience have told me they watch me. Thank you, I appreciate that. But the point of this story is that in my big career move, there were some lessons for me. And the lessons were, work hard, ask for what you want, be prepared to get it, and embrace the changes that come your way. See, I say, ladies, we need to think more like Maya Angelou. She said, if you are always trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be. See, women, we have to have the courage to step away from the image that others have set for us. We have to free our minds from the notion that we have to get married before 30, have our kids, and then put our children before our careers. As if, as women, we can't manage a family and careers. And ladies, we can't be afraid of change. See, my whole life, my whole career has been about pivoting. From a trial lawyer, to a nonprofit leader, to a television personality. I gave up a long, long time ago any notion that my career would follow some traditional path. And I say to each of you in this audience, if you've been an accountant for 30 years, that doesn't mean you have to be an accountant for the next 30 years. Everybody has a second, a third, a fourth act. It's completely acceptable to change careers. In fact, everyone expects you to do so. And don't tell me you're too old, because age isn't a factor. Just think back on the presidential election of 2016. 3 of the most prominent candidates were over 65, and 2 were over 70. So no matter what your age or your current status, you can reinvent yourself. No more excuses. It's time, ladies, to live your life at a new level. See, and I know some of you are sitting there saying, change is hard. It's difficult. And I know that firsthand. But I also know that getting stuck someplace that you've outgrown, is even worse. It's even more painful. See, the women in Hidden Figures, my grandmother, my godmother, these women wouldn't have become the superstars that they are if they had allowed themselves to get stuck. It was Eleanor Roosevelt decades ago that told us, well-behaved women rarely make history. Well-behaved women rarely make history. And I say women that playing it safe will rarely get you the promotion or get you to the C-suite. See, the women in Hidden Figures, my grandmother, my godmother, they weren't well-behaved. These women were bold. They were courageous. And they relied on each other. They knew it was important to support each other to achieve their goals. They didn't try to go it alone. They understood the importance of sisterhood and collaboration. Ladies, empowered women empower women. Empowered women empower women. This is a message. This message we can all take to heart. We know when women support each other, our families benefit, our children benefit, our communities benefit. We all benefit. Now, I have one assignment for you. When you go home today and your friends ask you, where were you for the last 8 hours? I want you to tell them what I posted on my Facebook page this morning. Do I have any Facebook friends in the audience? Hey, friends, if you're not my friend now, on your smartphone or later when you go home, become my friend. But I want you to tell those folks that ask you where you were today, tell them I was somewhere in between inspiring other women, working on myself, dodging negativity, and slaying my goals. Come on, empowered women, give it up. Stand to your feet. We are empowered today. I want you to have an empowered day. This is your day. This is your day. Be empowered. Be empowered. Thank you.